We are back. You made Diamond K in here. RadioFire.com, the Diamond K Show.com. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in. A heavily medicated President Trump bolted from his VIP hospital stay earlier this week and, staged a very strange White House comeback. A man who is overly concerned with appearance, with perception, with demonstrating what he thinks to be strength. His actions included a very irresponsible mask removal, visible difficulty breathing. He was, trying to catch his breath, and a very reckless and inaccurate claim that there is nothing to fear from COVID-19, a virus that has already killed over 210,000 Americans. A still infectious Trump has ignored advisors who wanted him to stay in the hospital and instead returned to the White House. He is contagious and a danger to those around him. He's back on Twitter, of course, trying to equate the coronavirus to the seasonal flu. Some social media outlets have tried to alert people to the numerous falsehoods coming from the president and his continuing to downplay the disease in public, even though he fully understands the seriousness of the coronavirus, of COVID-19. He knows that it's serious, but he is lying to the American people. We'll get into more of that in just a moment. Radio on Fire talks to America through digital broadcast and social media content. We are a rising multimedia platform, generating over 350,000 viewers and listeners per month through our audio and video streams. From politics, breaking news, celebrity info, sports talk, pop culture, and much more, Radio on Fire keeps our audience covered. So as the virus continues to rip through the White House, it is a coronavirus hot spot. Make no mistake about it. Questions remain about the state of the president's health. Like, is he well? No. He tested for coronavirus positive. He positively tested for the disease last week, the virus. Suffered 2 dips in oxygen levels. This administration is notorious for dishonesty and misinformation. They have misled Americans about his condition, including when he got sick. They don't want the American people to know. You know why? Why are they trying to keep this information from us? There's an election going on. And as I said, he is overly concerned with appearance, and he doesn't want people to know just how sick he is. I didn't say was, I said is. The White House will not say when Trump's last negative coronavirus test was, because it's still positive. Any test that he's ever passed, he wants you to know about him, except for this one, because he hasn't passed it yet. He has not passed it yet. And so in the next hour, we're going to talk about the vice presidential debate. But the White House, as I said, will not reveal this information. They've often called Trump the most tested man in America. However, he was not tested when it mattered the most. Not tested when it mattered the most. Trump announced that he first tested positive for COVID-19 last Friday morning, wee hours of the morning. But by that point, the coronavirus had been spreading like a wildfire in California throughout his orbit for a week. Trump was reportedly not feeling well as far back as the evening of September the 30th. So when he tries to act like he beat this in 5 days, he was sick much longer than they want the American people to know. Many people who have spent time around the president in the days leading up to his early Friday morning announcement, including Trump himself, tested positive for coronavirus. And that does not include 11 positive tests traced to organizers of last Tuesday's debate, members of the media who covered it. It is a disaster. It is a disaster. Shout out to the plainest Jane. Definitely check her out on YouTube. The plainest Jane. All right. It is. I mean, it's inexplainable that the president of the United States, who is actively shedding virus in millions of particles, would walk around the White House with an enormous number of staff unmasked. He is ridiculous. He's irresponsible. And he does not care about his own staff members. The American people deserve the truth. The White House's refusal to answer straightforward questions creates the appearance that they're hiding something. It's very simple. Either Trump wasn't being tested nearly as often as the White House wanted the public to believe, or that he had an earlier positive test that he wanted to conceal. I believe that both are true. Both are true. Plaintiff Jane has a very interesting bottom line. Moldy oranges ain't fit to run a country. Very true. Moldy oranges. I like that. Moldy oranges. After being asked when Trump's last negative test was, the presidential physician, if you want to call him that, Sean Conley, would not answer. Instead said he doesn't want to go backwards. Doesn't want to go backwards. This is something the American people should know, and it should be something very simple. We're less than a month before Election Day, and Trump is anxious to project strength. So you have many people that are thinking he doesn't have it, or he didn't have it, or this is somehow fake news. Let me explain something to you doubters, you conspiracy theorists. The last thing that Trump needs to do, the last thing he would want to do, is cancel fundraisers and have over 19 of his staff or colleagues to have coronavirus or act like they have coronavirus when they really don't, including himself, including the first lady, to pull off of the campaign trail. The last thing this guy wants to do or would do would be cancel fundraisers on a whim. Now, he really is sick from the virus, and this is not something he wanted, but he's sick because of his not abiding by CDC recommendations. The same way that you yourself can't go in restaurants without wearing face coverings. You can't just walk in the door and then take it off. But the president has not been following these simple guidelines that you, the American people, have been following. And he's put pressure on others around him to not follow it as well. That's why he's sick. That's why he is free falling. So, Trump tweeted before leaving the hospital that he now claims he didn't have to go to. He says that we'll be back on the campaign trail soon. And yes, plain as Jane, I do believe that he has the coronavirus. Absolutely. It's not in his best interest to do all of these things if he didn't have it. Not less than 30 days before the election to hop off the campaign trail? No. When he's already losing, when he's already has his back against the wall, when in many polls showing how far behind he is because of the way that he has handled the coronavirus. For more than 8 months, Trump's efforts to downplay the threat of the virus in hopes of propping up the economy, saying that the kids should be back in school already, open everything back up, right? It's drawn criticism across the board, bipartisan criticism from Republicans, criticism from Democrats. He is making this up as he goes along. No kind of strategy, no kind of rhyme, no kind of reason, just an unmitigated disaster. Let's take a quick break and come back with more of the show after this.
Look, I get it, but I also feel it. As a Black woman who has, like the overwhelming majority of people of color in this nation, done everything in my power to live a life of dignity and service and honesty, the knowledge that any of my fellow Americans is more afraid of me than the chaos we are living through right now, well, that hurts. It hurts us all. It is a heaviness that sits on our hearts. So I want to appeal for some empathy here too. I want everyone who is still undecided to think about all those folks like me and my ancestors, the moms and dads who worked their fingers to the bone to raise their kids right, the teenagers who wear hoodies while working hard to get their diplomas, the millions of folks who look like me and fought and died and toiled as slaves and soldiers and laborers to help build this country. Put yourselves in our shoes for just a moment. Imagine how it feels to wake up every day and do your very best to uphold the values that this country claims to hold dear: truth, honor, decency, only to have those efforts met by scorn, not just by your fellow citizens, but by a sitting president. Imagine how it feels to have suspicion cast on you from the day you were born, simply because of the hue of your skin. To walk around your own country scared that someone's unjustified fear of you could put you in harm's way. Terrified of what 4 more years of this kind of division might mean for the safety of you and those you love. living with the knowledge that no matter how hard we try, how much good we do in the world, there will be far too many who will never see our humanity, who will project on us their own fears of retribution for centuries of injustice, and thus only see us as a threat to be restrained. And we know what happens next. A racial slur from a passing car, a job promotion that never comes, a routine traffic stop gone wrong, maybe a knee to the neck.
Welcome back to the show. You may Dominic in here. Michelle Obama delivered a blistering critique of Donald Trump and Trump's re-election campaign, of course, supporting Joe Biden. The former First Lady described Trump's policies as racist and accused him of endangering American lives with his behavior during this pandemic. And although she is not one to really get involved in the day-to-day political fights, in a 24-minute video meant as a closing argument for voters to turn out for Joe Biden, we just saw a clip of it, and I urge you to watch the full 24-minute video. Michelle Obama said that the United States has descended into chaos because the president isn't up for the job, and he is not. Here's the thing, Trump supporters. When the president was in the hospital, was in Walter Reed Hospital, which is in Maryland, did you notice that they did not say that they were giving him hydroxychloroquine, right? Y'all forgot about that magic cure that he said that was a cure before. Remember? You remember that? They didn't give him that. It's foolishness. So he absolutely has put Americans in danger because some Americans listen to this guy foolishly, but listen to him nonetheless. Without mentioning Trump by name, or mentioning Trump's coronavirus diagnosis, Michelle Obama accused Trump of seeking to gaslight the American people by acting like this pandemic is not a real threat. Speaking truth, she's not saying anything that is not true. Racism, fear, division, these are powerful weapons, and they can destroy this nation if we don't deal with them head on. The former First Lady also made a positive case for Joe Biden, saying he never grew cynical despite his many personal tragedies, losing his wife, a daughter in a car accident, and later his son to brain cancer. Biden has been through a lot. She said that in contrast to Donald Trump, who has devoted his life to enriching himself, his family, and other wealthy people. Come on, Trump supporters. You can't say that this is not true. You can't say this is not true. Joe Biden has lived his life guided by values and principles, ones that mirror what most Americans can recognize. Michelle Obama said that, "I know Joe. He's a good man who understands the struggles of everyday folks." So Michelle Obama taking a harder stance than she has in the past with regards to the election campaign. Trump campaign says that the president plans to participate in the next debate in person, despite the uncertainty around how he will recover from COVID-19. The president intends to participate in the debate in person, the campaign's communication director said in a statement. And it's unclear whether or not Trump will be healthy enough to attend the debate, or whether he would be exposing other attendees to a contagious virus that has killed over 210,000 people in this country alone under his leadership. And of course, like a child, like a juvenile, who say, China is responsible for bringing the virus here. Yes, but you are responsible for protecting the American people from said virus. The CDC guidelines state that adults with mild to moderate COVID-19 can be around others 10 days after symptoms first appeared, as long as they have gone 24 hours without a fever and other symptoms are improving. But the lack of transparency from this administration makes it difficult to even know what's really good. The next presidential debate is set to take place on October 15th. That would be 13 days from when Trump first revealed his diagnosis. Joe Biden has said that he would take part in next week's town hall style debate if medical experts deem it safe. If the scientists say that it's safe, that the distances are safe, then I think that's fine, Biden said on Monday. I'll do whatever experts say is the appropriate thing to do, Biden said earlier this week. So what is Plains Jane saying? Trump better not. Okay, yes, he is. He's definitely planning to attend the debates. It's going to be interesting. So that would be next week. If that goes down next Thursday, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Come back with another situation that is sadly something that Americans are experiencing far, far too often.
Well, George, good morning. That arrest came just hours after people took to the streets of this small Texas town. You can see the memorial here. Jonathan Price, an admired member of this community, shot and killed at this convenience store.
This morning, Wolf City police officer Sean David Lucas charged with murder in the death of Jonathan Price.
Oh, Lord. Answer my son. Oh, my baby.
Price, a 31-year-old city employee, was killed in this convenience store parking lot after witnesses say he was trying to defuse a heated argument between a couple inside the store.
3 gunshots went off, and I turned and looked at them, and I said, a cop just shot somebody.
According to the Texas Rangers, which is handling the investigation, when Officer Lucas arrived, Price walked away in, quote, a non-threatening posture. The Rangers say Lucas then tasered Price before shooting and killing him. Adding, the preliminary investigation indicates the actions of Officer Lucas were not objectively reasonable. Price was a beloved pillar of the community who worked with and coached children and had a personal training business. Overnight, more than 100 people showing up to honor Jonathan's life outside the gas station where he was killed, locking hands and wearing masks.
Black people aren't making it up. we're not playing a race card, there is a problem.
Bail was set at $1 million, but this morning there's still so much we don't know about what happened at this convenience store. But police making that arrest, Michael, and that is exactly what the family demanded.
All right, thank you so much, Marcus. Hear that all too often.
So as you saw in that clip from Good Morning America, the Texas police officer was arrested on suspicion of murder in the fatal shooting of Jonathan Price. How many times have we seen this? The Texas Rangers preliminary investigation found out that the Wolf City police officer, Sean Lucas, used deadly force against Mr. Price, and it was not objectively reasonable. Just days after 31-year-old Price was killed in North Texas, so they arrested Lucas, and he shot Mr. Price allegedly. I guess I got to say allegedly. He hasn't been convicted as of yet. And obviously the officer white. Obviously, you know what I mean? And the victim black. So Wolf City officials have declined to comment on the shooting outside of noting that it was on Sunday that they were investigating this, and the officer was placed on administrative leave pending said investigation. And so, of course, tensions are high, and that's just what it is. Let's, of course, you can join the show, 404-436-1277. Go to the phone lines. Hello, who's this?
This is the plainest Jane.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
So you've been seeing what we have been discussing, the president, Michelle Obama coming hard at Trump, and of course the killing of another black man unarmed at the hands of the police. So what do you think about Trump and how he's been handling COVID-19?
Well, we all know Moby oranges are not fit to run the country. He was already a clown, but he has literally transformed America into his own personalized circus. And that's that. I hope his toupee flies off. I hope that COVID really teaches him a lesson about how to not play with people's lives. And that's if he has it. There are two ways looking at it, whether he has it or whether he doesn't. I just want to go ahead and say that I really love the show. I tune in each and every time you go live, and I have my notifications turned on. So thank you so much for streaming really important information. And I think every person of color, but even if you are not Black or African American, you could really benefit from the information that you put out. So thank you, DJ Down and K, for that.
I appreciate that so much.
Oh, no problem. The debate this evening from the vice presidential debate was interesting. The fly is already trending with the fly landed head. But, I really wanted to get into the controversy surrounding the story of Jonathan Price, who is the unarmed black man who was fatally shot by a white law enforcement this past Saturday.
Right.
And the controversial side of the coin to his story is he was addicted to white women. And this isn't something that people are just saying. This is something that he said out of his own mouth. And I wanted to know if you heard about any of the controversy surrounding that situation.
I mean, from the standpoint of him, and as you pointed out, a self-professed person who loved to date white women. That's what he said. It was just a very, very weird proclamation to make. You know what I mean? And I guess that you are coming at this from the standpoint of that is why he was killed?
No. Oh, no, not at all. Let's not skip, hop, and jump to that conclusion.
Okay,
Okay.
because I have seen people online hint to that.
No, I think it's really interesting to curate a meaningful dialogue around this, because despite his character, it doesn't make the story any less tragic or unfortunate. But also, if we won't call a spade, he was cooning. He was cooning a bit, and he felt as though Ted Danson would somehow save him, or maybe he was under the real ignorant fog of thinking that he was never in jeopardy, despite his love for the opposite side of the spectrum. And he reminds me of Samuel Jackson in Django. And the irony of obsessing over the side of the spectrum and then to die by that side of the spectrum because he was so far removed from a legitimate Black experience, I think is really sad. I think it's sad, and I think it should open our eyes to a lot of things. I'm not saying that all white people are bad. I'm not saying that all white cops are bad. But I think a really important thing that I'll never forget, I believe it was Muhammad Ali. I'll never forget the quote about, well, all snakes aren't bad snakes, but if out of 100 snakes, there are 3 good ones, do you think I'm about to spend my time out here trying to figure out which one is poisonous and which one isn't? So I think just not being ignorant, not tap dancing, understanding that cooning will not save you. It could potentially help you live longer. And I think that it's really sad that he was breaking up a domestic dispute between, and I talked about this on my channel last night. I think it's really sad that he was breaking up a dispute between 2 other people, and he ended up having his life taken.
Right.
So when it's Black people in the community, and we see a man and a woman out here fighting at a gas station, who wants to watch a Black woman get her ass beat? Or even if it was vice versa. So we have to choose between whether we want to jump in and help protect another Black woman or another person, or just letting them fight and letting the police show up and them getting killed. And this is because white people aren't going to save us. And we shouldn't leave our lives in the hands of white people or any other person, because we don't know what their agenda is. So now we are stuck between minding our business and literally watching them fight until the police come and kill us, or jumping in and me trying to defuse it and me dying in the meantime. But the last thing that we want to do as Black people is call the police. So
because we don't know how it's going to go. I mean, when you look at Jonathan Price shot 4 times in the torso.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, jumping in, a lot of times people in our community are hesitant to jump in fights to break them up between people that they don't know a lot of times. And it used to not be because how the police were going to react. It used to just be because of how the participants in said argument are gonna act, and someone could get hurt like that. But now, increasingly, we're also having to deal with how law enforcement acts when they come on the scene, because they think that the people trying to break it up are actually involved in the altercation. I'm assuming that that's what they're going to try to. That's what the defense is gonna try to say about this officer.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, it comes to community protecting community. If we see 2 Black people fighting outside of our home, do we call the police because they loud? Will we sleep good at night knowing that they were out there fighting, and the cop showed up and killed one of them? The cop showed up and put his knee in one of their necks. Or to think, I'm going to just mind my business. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. And you find out that man really killed this Black woman outside of your house last night. Or 3, I'm going to go out there and try to break it up myself. Either way, it's not even good for us. And we're left between a rock and a hard place with any decision that we choose to make when we witness some crazy shit. Even if we just mind our business and keep walking. You know what I mean? So I think it's really hard that we have to, every decision that we make as a person of color is a life or death decision. You let them 2 people fight out there, that's life or death. Somebody will kill them. Whether they kill each other or the police show up and kill them, or I get killed trying to break them up.
I think that just more times than not, people just don't want to get involved because of potential retaliation, police. Like there's so many reasons to not get involved these days, more than there are to get involved. Sadly,
that's true. And the other side to that coin is, if it was your aunt or your mother and your grandmother and some random man walked up and started abusing her, you will want somebody to jump in. If it was my little sister out there being attacked by a man, because who knows, he asked for a number, she said no.
Yeah.
I have been attacked by men because I've rejected them, and you're just subject to violence. So that's the few times. Of course, everybody says, "Oh, I would just mind my business," but if it's you crying on the news tomorrow because your mother was getting her ass beat in front of a market full of people that just stood and watched, a group of people, I want to mind my business, you would feel some type of way. So like I said, however we flip this coin, we want to treat people how we want to be treated. We want to give people the same respect that we would want, or we would want our elder family members or vulnerable family members who aren't fit to defend themselves against whatever unwarranted attacks are taking place. We have to make some real difficult decisions at the drop of a goddamn dime. At the drop of a dime. Whether we do something, no. Because if I was riding at the gas station and I saw some mess like that, and I got home and found out that, homie really killed Shorty, or whatever the case is, and it's the same thing. For homeboys who are out here with men who abuse their women, for all those men who sat and watched Eazy-E beat the crap in the snot out of Michelet, and then the other man watch boys. Both of them. No, both of them were abusive, but I get it. Yeah, Dr. Dre was allegedly abusing Michelet. But, anybody with homeboys who are putting their hands on women in front of me, you sitting there watching, it's trash. I don't know who's worse, you or Trump. If you want to sit and watch your homeboy and condone him putting his hands on somebody, and like I said, if it was, everybody has to say mind their business, but you wouldn't want somebody to mind their business if it was your loved one or your friend or your family member out there. So it's hard out here being Black in America, and that's the other side of the coin I wanted to bring up. When you brought up Jonathan Price, again, it's a very unfortunate situation, regardless of what he was in, regardless of how, ignorant or misguided he was. And I think a lot of his ignorance was truly subconscious. I don't think that he was out here trying to be Candace Owen or trying to be a typical Black.
He talked about being a big supporter of cops as well.
Yeah, and that was on, his experience. He said it perfectly. He said, I feel the same way Lil Wayne feels. And it's not really that they've been, it's that they're so far removed from a regular Black experience. They're ignorant to how a real Black person out here is being treated. And when this man, Jonathan Price, shared his experience because his real family abandoned him, and he was raised by a group of white people who always invested in him and supported him, and his real family didn't, he was jaded by his traumatic childhood and his problematic upbringing.
Yeah.
He's not like if he literally said online, he's never experienced racial profiling. He's not he doesn't have our experience. He was really ignorant, and I don't mean ignorant in a rude way to say he was stupid. There was a lot that he just flat out didn't experience and therefore didn't know.
But when people are loud and say things like that, he said he hadn't experienced it, and now he has, and it just so happened that was his last experience. When people are loud and ignorant, it is very unfortunate. Because had he been more knowledgeable, he possibly could have still been alive. And I think that, first, the entire altercation has been captured by body camera on Lucas. So I'm anxious to see that. But I wonder how much of his lack of experiencing being profiled gave him a sense of, how some white people act when they have an interaction with the police versus how some Black people do. I wondered if his experiences had him acting the way many times we see white people acting and the police don't shoot them. And it's almost like he forgot that he was a Black man and he acted the way that the white people have been acting, the white ladies he's been hanging around. And that led to him getting shot that much quicker. I hope that that's not the case.
What privileged like a Karen? And honestly, I don't think it matters. He was unarmed. Definitely. I've seen the witness recount of what took place. He was unarmed. I'm told by the family civil attorney that his hands were in the air. He had no weapon. They tased him first, and based on the way his body convulsed, they shot him. So part of me, part of the reports are saying that it seems as though he was peacefully resisting arrest, and other stuff say that he had his hands in the air and he was trying to communicate that he wasn't even the one who initiated this altercation, that he was instead trying to diffuse it. But I mean,
let's say this. Let's say that's what happened, right? Now you come on the scene as a police officer. So if he gets into an argument with one of the people he's trying to break it up with, right? And then the police arrive on the scene at the moment that they're seeing the two people arguing. So one of the aggressors in the argument is becoming loud with the person trying to break it up. So now it appears when you come on the scene that the argument is between these two individuals as opposed to the two people that are actually arguing. And then you get to the scene, tensions are high, and you're trying to break things up. And then the person saying, hey, no way, I'm trying to do this or whatever. And they're not listening to that. They're just trying to go in and get their respect, because that's what police try to do. Try to go in and get their respect, right? Establish that we in charge here, you know, and then it gets out of control. That's probably what happened. But you know, it's just a sad situation. What I really hate about it is that in this preliminary investigation, they're saying that the shooting was not reasonable. None of the shootings, none of these killings of unarmed black people are reasonable. Like, this isn't different from the, you know what I'm saying? They're labeling it, the Texas Rangers saying this shooting, you know, was not reasonable. They are never reasonable to kill an unarmed person.
Right.
Yeah, it is sad. I really appreciate you calling in. Tell us about your channel. How can people check it out and all that good stuff?
Oh, well, thank you. Y'all can check out my channel. It's The Plainest Jane, here on YouTube and on Instagram. And basically, my vision for my channel is to curate a small corner of the internet where I cultivate a sense of relief from the outside world on two fronts: peace and relief. Peace from whatever current events and circumstances may be negatively altering your world, and relief from the crippling thought process that your life or decisions require validation from the outside world. So I talk about taboo and trending topics, current events, all things Black progression, Black business. And it's really just a sense of, I don't know if the world is coming to an end or not, but there's so much negativity out here, and there's not enough. As much as I like to keep it real and keep people in the know, so to speak, with what's going on, I do also like to make people laugh, you know, improve moods and improve people's vibes and brighten days. And most importantly, I like to positively inspire and I encourage individualistic and critical thought processes. So those are some of the things that I talk about over on my channel, The Plainest Jane, as a Baltimore media personality.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I follow your content, and I definitely like what you're doing. And I encourage people to check it out. The Plainest Jane. And there's nothing plain about you, okay? Just let me say that.
Stop being modest. Stop being on poor, regular, average chick.
All right, well, you have a good evening, Plainest Jane.
Thank you so much. You have a good night, too, and keep up the awesome work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All righty, good night.
Good night. The Plainest Jane on YouTube. Make sure you guys check her out. I mean, the arrest of Officer Sean Lucas came relatively fast compared to other high-profile Texas shootings that have resulted in officers facing criminal charges. So we're definitely going to follow this story and keep up with that. I'm definitely sure that there are going to be more revelations with this. When we get the body camera footage, we're definitely going to go through that and talk about that. Of course, on the other side, in the next hour, we're going to talk about the vice presidential debate and all that's going on with that. Radio on Fire is a listener-supported internet talk radio podcast network, streaming from our production facilities in Baltimore and Atlanta. Radio on Fire is able to broadcast our programs because of our listeners and some amazing sponsors as well. Sponsors like D Lifestyle Secrets, Are You a Baby Boomer? Translation, Were You Born Between 1946 and 1964? More than 71 million Americans are baby boomers. And as you continue to get older, baby boomers want to stay mobile and experience as few aches and pains as possible. DLifestyleSecrets.com helps you do just that. Letter D, Lifestyle Secrets provides a blueprint to reduce and or eliminate joint pain by teaching their members how to communicate naturally with their bodies. Created by 70-year-old Dwight Williams, D Lifestyle Secrets gives baby boomers step-by-step videos and natural recipes. And most importantly, they motivate people to re-energize themselves naturally. Visit the letter D, lifestylesecrets.com to join that active community of baby boomers. So, as I said, and the next hour, we're going to be talking about the vice presidential debate and a lot of the takeaways from that. Of course, if you miss any episodes of our show, radioonfire.com, thediamondkshow.com. Also, follow The Diamond K Show on all of your podcast networks. Just search The Diamond K Show. And catch up on the shows and all of that good stuff. So I will see you guys in the next hour.
Oh, my nigga Diamond K on the check-in. Salute Diamond K, radioonfire.com. Let me check on his site. Hold on a second. That's my homie from B More.
You are now streaming worldwide on radioonfire.com and the Radio on Fire app.
Diamond K, are you moving to the ATL? I know you were talking about that, man, before the pandemic.
Giving you more talk, more news, and more music. It's Radio on Fire.
Okay, there you go. RadioOnFire.com. That's the homie, Diamond K.
Thank you for listening to Radio on Fire.
I see High Roller Records, Jay Jackson Live, The Diamond K Show, of course. Yeah, folks, make sure you check out my homie, RadioOnFire.com. That's Diamond K.
Follow us on all social media at Radio on Fire.